You mentioned destiny when you were talking, and I would love to hear how you answered this question, which is kind of like a internal quagmire, maybe that many think about. There's this idea that, there's a destiny or that God knows everything that's going to happen, and yet we're here and we're supposed to have free will. And at the same time, we're born into our environment with our certain brain. So even maybe the fact that we make choices is an illusion. I'd love to hear you talk about the truth of having self-will and yeah, and how that can all be true at the same time.
I want to make sure you know I am doing a class on how to manifest and put yourself on the highest timeline possible. We are going to go over the top 10 signs that you are actually beginning to put yourself on your highest timeline. There'll be prescriptive teachings as well. Do not miss this class. Click on the link below, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, that was a big question.
I
Okay,
know, I
that's
know.
it. And an excellent question with many layers to that,
Yeah.
Leah. So the analogy I'll first use about free will is that we all have a life plan, right? And you could think of it like a movie script. It's just an analogy, right? So there are certain events, circumstances that we plan to experience, and we could think of these things as data points along a timeline. And that's really what our life plan is. And the idea behind each one of these data points is to serve as an energetic bucket of cold water to wake oneself up from the stupor of personhood and eventually realize the self or become self-realized. That's really what those data points are for. Now, these things are absolutely mapped out meticulously before we get here. In fact, we even run trials, if that makes sense. The higher self is able to create an environment where we have a trial run of the incarnation and see how it's actually working out. And from those trial runs, where we can actually make a lot of adjustments to see, well, we're not really working well with our life plan. So maybe we can make an adjustment here. So what goes into an incarnation is absolutely remarkable and so far beyond what the finite mind can actually comprehend. Now, so we have this plan, and this plan also involves soul contracts, people that we're going to have certain experiences with and certain relationships with. Now, we have a plan, but just like if you have a movie script, and let's say you're filming your movie or your TV show, and it's going along, and then all of a sudden you realize, you know what? That didn't quite work. What if let's go off script for a moment. What if we just go in this direction? Let's improv and let's see what happens here. And go ahead, action. And then we actually develop something that's even more impactful, yet it's on the fly and it's unscripted. So we have this ability to do that. Now, as odd as this sounds, this unscripted nature is also built into the possibility of the life plan to actually go off the life plan, which seems like an oxymoron, but it actually isn't. So the free will comes in that if we have mapped out, let's say, being born in New York, and part of our life plan is to travel to California because there's going to be various experiences and people that we meet that will be crucial in the evolving data points and the evolution of our consciousness through the incarnation. So that's mapped out. Now, the free will, Leah, comes in from how you get there. So in other words, we could go from New York to California by taking a flight. We could take a train. We could drive. We could take a bus. We could hitchhike. We could walk, et cetera, et cetera. So the free will comes in the how that data point, how you bring it about, or how you get to that next data point. But in the sense that we're already operating from a script. So there is free will, or there's the illusion of, of free will, because we're still operating within the parameters of the written script of the life plan. But there is room to improvise. There is room to go off script. And also, contrary to popular spiritual fiction, because I often hear that, well, it's just in my life plan to always be sick. It's just in my life plan to suffer. It's just in my life plan to never have money. Okay, let me be crystal clear about that. This is the life plan is simply a script. It's how you work with yourself when you get here. There are plenty of people I've worked with that signed up for slow healing or gradual healing based upon some kind of event that they're going to have in their life. And that's in their life plan, slow healing or gradual healing. But because they're working with themselves so optimally, they've changed their life plan and it's no longer slow healing or gradual healing. It's fast healing. It can even be instantaneous healing because they're working with themselves in a more advanced way than they actually mapped out for themselves. The opposite also holds true. I've also worked with people in various ways that have come here and signed up for, I'll just stick with healing, have come here and signed up for fast healing. And they're not working with themselves properly or optimally. And even though they signed up for fast healing, it's not occurring. It's actually gradual healing or slow healing. So there is free will, kind of. So, and I know that it's kind of, I try to want to give the best answer, the most complete answer that I possibly can. And now to just to throw a whole wrench in everything I just said is that there's one moment of creation seen from an infinite number of perspectives. And once the moment of creation has occurred, actually from there really is no free will because everything has already been set into motion. So the finite mind doesn't know how to work with that, and that's okay. But the truth of the matter is the answers, the multiple answers that I gave they're all applicable. And what really matters is how we work with ourselves moment to moment. It's not about the plan, the life plan. It's not about so-called prophecy and destiny. Destiny is constantly being rewritten when we work with ourselves optimally. We can move into any quote unquote timeline that we truly desire, but we have to master our attention and intention. And then that's when we actually start to taste our own immortality and our own ability to manifest and create without any limitations.